What's up, everybody? Welcome to your spoiler-free Fallout 4 review discussion here on youtube.com/kindoffunnygames. I'm one of your hosts, Greg Miller, alongside the pride of Long Island and the man who did the guides for Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas, Colin Moriarty.
Having like Vietnam War flashbacks here. Thank you.
Yeah, really, just thinking about New Vegas in general, the one that broke you, the one that destroyed you.
Totally broke me, yeah.
All right, well, I want to know how that compares to this in one second. Over here, you know her from youtube.com/Steimer, SteimerSays.com. It's Kristine Steimer,
Hello.
Also the woman who reviewed for IGN Fallout New Vegas.
I did.
We have a Fallout
That
expert
also broke
panel.
me.
That broke you too. That was when you're like, I don't want to
Well,
review.
that's because I had to play it, like they gave it to us on such short notice that I had to play it for the
Extra life that year, yeah.
So I was playing it for 24 hours. And
That broke you, yeah.
it wasn't,
Do me a favor and scoot your microphone
way.
towards you. Ladies and gentlemen, if you've never seen a Kind of Funny review discussion, it's simple. We are going to sit here and talk about the game. We will not put a score on it, but you will know if we like it or don't like it by the end of it. Also, as I said in the beginning, this is spoiler-free. Now, of course, I think spoiler-free reviews are a load of BS. We have to talk about little bits of specifics. So if you want to know nothing about the game, you'd want to leave right now. But we're not going to spoil main story threads. I might mention a character name here or there, but that's not spoiler. I will guarantee you that the launch trailer that came out this last week was more spoilery than this video will be.
I didn't watch the trailer.
Good, don't.
Oh, okay.
There's big moments in there that were big reveals for me that were just happening. I was like, oh, that kind of
Wait,
sucks.
so you had already played through them though?
Yeah,
So
I'd already
okay.
seen them by then. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a good point. Let's start there. We've had the game roughly a week. We all started in on Saturday. Kristine's had about half that time.
Yeah.
How far are you, Kristine?
I don't know how far I am. I'm like level 15.
Okay.
So
That's a good place.
and I kind of I'm meandering. I'm not like you seem to like really be going forward in the story and plowing through where I'm like I'm like, oh no, I still haven't even gotten to this other part that you got to like 20 hours ago.
Sure. Yeah, but you're doing the thing where Kristine plays RPGs very methodically, very much like Colin, actually. That's probably why I'm attracted to both of you. And I'm watching you play, and you're in places I've already been, but you're finding new things that I didn't, and you're getting new quests I didn't
explore
get.
as much as I can of the place that I'm at.
Uh-huh.
You know, it's just like there was a building I know you went into, and I'm like, I don't even think he went up over here and like found these.
I probably did. Now, come on.
These
no.
things. I don't think you did. I'm going to show you later.
All right, fine. Colin, how far into the game are you?
I'm level 15 as well, but I'm 15 hours in.
Okay.
I'm deliberately playing it slowly.
Good. No, I mean, you waited years and years for this game. There's no sense rushing it.
I'm just my whole mantra these days is I'm never going to be up a video game's ass again. So like it's just I don't want to play games like that anymore. So we've had the game since literally October 30th.
What does up the game's ass mean to you, though? Are you still going to platinum this? Are you still playing on platinum?
No, I am. But like I used to, when I get really excited about a game, I'd play it and 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 play it.
Power
like 10,
through,
12.
kinda?
Yeah, and like why do I want to do that anymore? Like
Sure.
we've been waiting for this, so I play like a few hours a day maybe.
Gotcha.
And then I just go read a book or like watch TV or something.
Yeah.
Like on Sunday I just watch football. I didn't play the game at all. So I should be further than I am considering how long we've had the game, but
Do what you want to.
You're savoring it.
yeah, that's
Exactly.
exactly right. I'm doing it very, very intentionally, and then when I get back into the game, I'm excited about it again.
See, I'm the exact opposite of Colin, where I'm fucking lost in it. If I'm not working or cooking, I'm doing it. I guess I'm
Are
playing.
you
I'm
like
playing.
thinking about it all the time?
Yeah, but I want to talk about this too. So I'm 40 hours in, my clock says, and I'm level 27. No, I hit 28 last night before
Yeah.
bed. So what I'm doing is I feel it's going to sound different. I'm savoring it in a different way. Whereas I think what Fallout 4 is great at right now is that I love the narrative thread of it. I love what your motivation is. I love what I'm off doing. And I'm really connected to that story and that character and what's happening. My character, I guess. And there's all these other quests around there that are very much like, cool, like, here's the story, go do this. And then there's like missions that are like, all right, clear out this building. Go clear this building. And so it's like when I want just some XP and I want to go loot and I want to go do that stuff, I just go clear the buildings or whatever. But then when I know it's going to be a mission, it's going to be a thing, a quest, I go and do those. And that's my way of balancing it, where I'm still making progress, chipping away, putting scrap away so I can make my stupid ass town or whatever the hell I need.
You are so funny with that.
I just don't get it yet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I don't want to dedicate time to it because there's a motivation in this game of why you're out of the vault and what's happening.
Right.
And I'm like, I'm going to do that and not build my fucking Hooverville over here.
But
and
I
worry
like
about
it. I don't know it's the sim builder in me, but I'm like, ooh. This is like I don't know. I definitely poured more time to that than I should have.
Sure.
Like I felt like I don't want to say it was a waste of time, but I'm like, oh, I could have been doing like a mission or something.
See, my thing is like, so we're of course talking about, and you've seen it, Fallout 4, you get to build your own communities, build your own houses, build your own
Build your own like tiny
warehouses.
settlements, basically.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And so when you're in there and you're looking at your HUD and you go over them, it shows how happy people are and like how full they are. And then there's like defenses. And I was like, oh God, this is going to be like FOB in Metal Gear where I'm worried all the time and I'm getting messages that it's getting attacked. I've gotten a few of those and I've ignored them because they're not attacking my main, my sanctuary, right?
Oh, I've never gotten any messages. That
I've seen it popped up where it's like, hey, go optional. Go
my
save this
settlements are all safe. Come live with me, people.
How many do you have? Just the one that's really
I have
pimped
basically
out?
just one that's
Yeah.
populated, and the
So
other
it's like
two
they're
that
not
are-
annoying. I'll get to them eventually for the trophies, but I love the scrapping ability because I'm such a hoarder. I take everything and then I drop it on my companion, and then I go get more, and then I go drop it off. And like last night, I'm hitting on the main quest. It was like, oh, I don't know, you got to build this thing, and it might take some time. And I just immediately had everything because
Yeah.
I've been storing all this stuff like a wood munch.
A wood
Wood munch,
A
yeah.
chipmunk.
I like
or
a wood
woodchuck.
munch.
A wood munch.
A wood munch is
metal.
It's a new
How much
creature.
wood would a wood munch of a wood munch? Colin, are you at all toying with the settlement stuff?
Yeah, a little bit. It's fine. It's just minutia, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I would rather. I mean, it's cool that it's there. I'd rather them spend those, allocate those resources during development to make the game bigger. But the game's already very big as
That's
it
what I
is.
was saying. I
Yeah.
was looking at his map. And I was like, oh shit. Like, I don't know why, but it didn't, even looking at mine, it didn't feel as big as when I looked at yours
Sure.
for some reason. Because you had a lot
Once
more
you start filling it
points
in, you
of
realize I
interest
think
on
it makes more sense of how
Yeah.
big it is.
No,
Yeah,
it's very big. I'm not saying it's not big.
Oh, no, I know.
It's very big. It's very big.
it's very big. It's the
but-
event horizon. of video games.
But yeah, no, I it's cool that it's there. It's Fallout 4 is essentially Fallout 3 with a new location, prettier graphics, and just more like minutia. And they just removed some systems and added some systems.
Yeah,
Like,
they
it's
just made
it's a
minor
very-
tweaks like here and there.
It's a very familiar game. Like that,
Yes.
and that's both. That's both good and bad. For
I was
it, you
gonna
know?
say, so like right now, do you feel like you can compare the two and say you like one better than the other or anything like that?
No,
Or is
I
it
don't
too
want to. I
early
don't
for
want to
that?
compare them. I think that Fallout 3 was way more surprising. I think that's going to be the thing that is going to resonate with a lot of people. Is Fallout 4 is the epitome of a game that was made in a vacuum. Like, and games are always made in a vacuum. People don't know what other developers are doing, and Fallout 4 compared to say The Witcher 3 or Dying Light, which are other open world games that came out this year, is certainly way uglier. Certainly way stiffer. Certainly, a lot of presentational issues that are like very backwards that
Sure.
that I actually wouldn't have cared about this time last year that I actually care a lot more about now. So there
Just
are
because you've seen other games do it better?
yeah,
or-
there are definitely. I mean there's I don't care about the graphical fidelity so much. The game is definitely, people are like, it looks just like Fallout 3. No, it doesn't.
Yeah, no, it doesn't.
The art style looks like Fallout 3.
We were talking about yesterday,
It
right?
looks like ruined garbage. That's the point.
What it looks like is what you think Fallout 3 looked like the first time you played Fallout 3.
Sure.
Right. Fallout
Yeah,
3
yeah, yeah.
looks much worse, but in your head, that's how it's aged. It's like when you think of an N64 game and then you play that N64 game and
Ooh.
Yeah, so it's just one of those situations where I think Fallout 4 is like a fantastic game so far.
Yeah.
It's certainly got its issues though. It's certainly far from perfect, and I
Sure.
think some of the tweaks that they made to Fallout 4 were unnecessary and disappointing to me.
So what are the ones that pops to mind to you?
Specifically, the way you level up, I think is really kind of stupid, and like I don't like it.
Kristine, you pointed at him when he said that.
I was
you
pointing
agree?
at him because I've heard him say this before, and so correct me if I'm wrong, but the main part you don't like is that now you can. Well, we've got this little chart here. Now you can directly dump points into
special.
the special.
Yeah.
So you can level up your luck by just leveling, like dumping a point in when you level up.
And
Whereas before,
It like really meant something.
you had to go. Basically, you could only raise them. You pick out your stats at the beginning of the game, and then from then on, you can only find bobbleheads, and that's how you.
Right,
Gotcha.
exactly.
Level it up.
And I loved that because it meant that special was more special. than all of the like little things like small guns or electronics or whatever, computers. So I don't like. I really spent a lot of time thinking, all right, I want to be like very charismatic because I like speech in the game, which is also another so far for me totally underutilized.
Oh, really?
Really, I find
and-
it so useful.
And to me, it's just like, okay, that's cool. I like that. But then the minutia of like using, like the whole grid is like, Jesus, this is overwhelming. You know, like,
Sure.
like I don't even remember like what I was doing the last time I leveled up and stuff like that. Maybe it's my own problem or whatever, but
Yeah.
there's just way too many options.
See, yeah.
And I like, it just like, what does it remind me of?
Is it overwhelming? Is that
Yeah, in a way, like what was the game where it might have been Dying Light where I'm like, all of this sucks. Like I don't want any of this. You know, like
no,
I
it
have
was
like,
Witcher. You said that about Witcher. You said that about Witcher's leveling
Yeah, where I'm
system.
like, I'm like, I don't really even want to level up anymore because I don't care about anything that I can
Yeah.
level up. And it's not necessarily the case with this, but there are a few things that
Sure.
are in there that I like, and then a lot of stuff where I'm like, I don't care. And
Yeah.
I do like how it's behind a wall where it's like, all right, you need a charisma of 5 plus level 19, and maybe even some other statistics in order to level this thing up. But I liked the way that you just got skill points in Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas, and then just dispersed them however you wanted amongst like 20 different things, and so you can build yourself up in a much more just coherent way. Like I appreciate what they're doing here, but I feel like this is complicated unnecessarily. Like this is not necessary, you know, like compared to the idea of perks, which is a totally separate thing. Everything's now just in this grid.
Yeah.
You know? So that to me is like, I was like, that's not really
Interesting.
necessary. And the only other system that I was disappointed in is
Guns.
like the lack of like, the lack of
Guns no longer
no
degrade.
no
so you don't have to
degrading,
go
no
and fix them
combining.
or
Like I'm
whatever.
just like, so I'm like, this was clearly focus tested. And maybe not this particular game, but clearly they got a lot of feedback on that last time
Sure.
that fixed this. And to me, I was like, that is realistic to me because that's the reason why. Well, now every super mutant carries like a pistol, and I don't need to carry any of them except for the first one I find. So why even put them in there? You know, unless I want to break them down
Sell
for parts, or whatever.
them. Yeah,
So or sell them. So there's some inconsistencies and incongruencies in the new
Interesting.
systems they put in.
Yeah.
The one new system that I do like a lot is the way radiation affects health directly.
Yeah.
I think
right.
I think that's super clever.
So if you're not paying attention, you get ration, and then it begins working
It eats into
backwards
your health
on
bar.
your health bar. It'll be red going into your green, and you can only get as healthy as until you touch the red.
Yep.
Then you have to take red away and go over there.
Or go to a doctor.
I'm the opposite, where I guess I am the focus group. Where I liked combining and fixing my guns before to do that, but I like this leveling system a lot actually, because now I feel like it's attainable, that I can get in there and I can go, and like for me, it's very much
It's
that
a lot
like
more visual.
it's visual, and I'm a visual learner. So I go through and I look through, and like for me, I'm jumping in, and I'm usually right now at 28. I feel like I've knocked out the ones I really wanted. And like, so I was just working like this triangle of like, these are the perks I want to get up. And I'm like, oh, when I'm going to get to level 26 so I can get, the next gun perk, maybe it was 27. Don't eat me alive, internet. Get the gunslinger thing. And then I finally got it. You know what I mean? And then I was like, well, now I can go wherever I want and do whatever I want and move it all around. I'm enjoying that. I also like to the guns this time around. I'm in love with my guns. Like I remember in Fallout 3 liking my machine gun or liking whatever I was using, but now I'm, I committed to pistols early on with the gunslinger perk, and so I've been running with those, and I've picked up now 2 pistols off of like special and mission things where you get the guy's pistol or whatever,
Right.
and they're just awesome. And I go in now and like the weapon
upgrade
crafting,
them.
weapon crafting, so much fun. Are you doing that, Kristine?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, I'm basically crafting everything, and it's giving me probably most of my XP, which is funny.
Yeah.
And also making people like me, which is another element we'll talk about later. But yeah, so I'm really enjoying crafting, although I'm not as much of a hoarder as you, so I find that I do run into, I'm like, oh shit, I don't have enough parts for this.
It's awesome. Every time I go there, it's just like I can make whatever the hell I want to make. It's amazing.
But it's fun and it's cool because it means like if you have a gun style you enjoy, you can keep the gun. You don't have to go find another gun, and you can upgrade it and make it stronger, like to level along with you, which I like.
And that's the thing is like I'm finding them complementary. You know what I mean? I was telling Kristine last night, I've had this one gun forever, Colin, this 6-shooter, right? That's awesome. I got off of mission. I've upgraded it to its top tier, but bullets are hard to find. It's a 44 caliber, and they're not as plentiful as a bunch of other bullets I'm finding in the wasteland. And so I've been keeping this other gun with me, which is this bolt action 50 cal I've been using, but it's slow to reload, And so I had this middle gun that does like 55 damage, whereas the other guns do like 115, 98 or whatever, but they take forever. So I've been running around with this lower one, shooting boat flies or whatever the hell comes along until I realize I'm up against somebody who could actually deserves my bullets. And then last night I got another gun off somebody else. It was a silenced 10 millimeter. I was like, damage kind of sucks, but I'm like, I'll hold on to it and see what I can do. Went back, upgraded it, got it to 77, so it's better than my lowest tier. Dropped the lowest tier, take that, and then that gun, it shoots, it's like the PPK from like 007, so it's like tick, 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 and I put a giant magazine on it so I can shoot 16. And I'm just like fucking tearing everything apart, and I have like 1,000 bullets, and I'm like, fuck, this game's great. This is the kind of, this is like, these are like the little carrots at the end of the stick, right? That are keeping me going. I can't wait to play more to get this, to figure that out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say I feel a similar way about armor. Like I can't wait to get to the next piece of armor.
See,
to
I haven't
make
started
myself
putting in an
look
armor.
cool.
There's the armor crafting perk. I only did level 1. I know that's next. I got to get into that.
Yeah, I've not messed with crafting at all.
Yeah,
it's like armor and weapons. Obviously, I built my town a little bit.
Sure.
But, yeah, no, it's cool that it's there. I think I'm weaker than I probably should be because I'm not messing with it, but I kind of like that. I mean, one of the things that I really really like about the game is I feel like it's way harder than Fallout 3, and it's. I think I've died more in Fallout 4 than I died like all of Fallout 3 already.
Yeah.
Just like getting way overwhelmed by enemies and stuff. And I like the fact I like keeping it on the up and up. It reminds me of the alien blaster in Fallout 3 that you got from Mothership Zeta, which was like a really, 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 really powerful weapon. And you could just blast the shit out of anyone with this weapon.
I love laser weapons. They're fucking awesome.
It was ridiculous. It totally broke the game. And people went and got it like later if you got the DLC, and then you can go around and like fight all the massive super mutants or whatever.
Right.
And the death claws and whatnot. But I like that it's like the antithesis for me now, where I'm struggling a little bit, and I'm kind of trying to sustain the struggle because it seems to be again like, you know, it's what the game should be in my mind. Like you should be struggling and like have very little and like I'm like clearing. It reminds me, I went to a satellite array to clear of super mutants or whatever, and I was like sneaking around. I have like a piece of armor that when I crouch, like I'm invincible or whatever, or invisible, I should say.
I was going to say invincible? Damn, that's a strong piece of armor.
The entire fucking game.
And so I'm invisible and I'm like kind of picking off super mutants, and I realized that like the boss super mutant in this game, there are like stars and skulls next to names, which are like there are legendary enemies and then just like boss enemies, and they were like just slaughtering me. I died like 4 or 5 times, and so I started like sneaking around and picking off like all of his friends, and then like he was isolated in the corner of the map, and then I like just snuck around and like did what I needed to do for the mission, and then left him alive. And I'm like, this is kind of cool. Like I don't feel like I need to go back here at all and kill this dude. And so I do like the sense of what Fallout 4 nails, and why I think it's a fantastic game, even though I was complaining about the things that I didn't like. I want to be clear that I actually really like the game a lot. Is it fills you with the same wonder and awe that Fallout 3 and New Vegas did, in the sense that you don't really know what you're supposed to do and where you're supposed to go, and you can go and do anything you want as long as you can survive. And so it's fun to be able to play it that way, and play it kind of to your style. And I think that's what Fallout, has always done well since at least 3.
What I really like about the legendary things is that they drop like unique pieces for you.
Right.
So the first legendary thing I ever encountered was a legendary rad roach, and I was like, what the fuck is this? And
King of the rad roaches.
I know. I was like, okay. And I killed it, and it dropped an arm that makes it easier to pick locks, basically. Like the window for where your bobby pin has to be is larger. And I was like, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So then, and I've killed a couple more legendaries. One was a super mutant, one was another rad roach. Apparently there's a lot of legendary rad roaches.
Well, when one dies, another has to rise up to take its place.
Yeah, it's weird. And then there was a raider too. So it's like I got a legendary knife, or they're not called legendary knives.
Right, they have the star next to them, and then they have like
and they have something unique
buffs.
property,
Right.
basically.
Yeah, I've gotten
some
ones
sort
for
of a
VATs,
buff.
AP points, stuff like that.
The legendary super mutant dropped an arm, which I was annoyed because it was the same arm as the safe one. I was like, couldn't it have been the right arm? I needed the right arm.
Random drops, Kristine.
It's this thing that increases my stats for endurance and maybe perception. Like it gives me a +1 to both of those.
Sure.
I was like, cool. And it's a really heavy metal arm, so it's also giving me really good protection.
Pros and cons, right?
Yeah.
For me, like what you're talking about, Colin, and being a bit further in the game than you, that doesn't go away. The one thing I do love about Fallout 4, and this is one of the things, it's very much like, did this happen in Fallout 3 and I just don't remember it or whatever? But for me, there are difficulty spikes where the game is very clear, this isn't for you yet. You know what I mean? I was doing it early on where I was like, I really like this story and I want to see more of it and go and do it. And eventually, I dropped into a building, had a companion with me, came around and just obliterated. And I'm like, well, I'll do it with this gun. I'll throw out a mine. And like none of it was working. I was just getting destroyed. And I was like, you know what? Fuck this. And I went off for like 10 hours and just did random stuff, grinded up, and then came back and owned that section. You know what I mean? I know exactly the satellite array you're talking about. Did the exact same thing where I'm just getting worked, you know what I mean? And finally, you get it to where like they don't see you. I'm like, just get up there, get the hell out. Oh God, just run away. You know what I mean? I have to scamper.
Yeah, they were killing me. I mean, but that to me, that's good stuff in one sense. In the sense, like what you're talking about is very Dragon Quest mentality, where it's like Dragon Quest fans know that you cross a bridge, and that typically means that, and literally a bridge, and it means that you're going into a place that's going to be more difficult and the enemy's going to be harder. I mean, so there's always like a system in games that alerts you in very subtle ways or not so subtle ways that you're where you're not supposed to be, but this is the grinding aspect of the game is lost on me now because of the way you level up. So it's like, okay, the only thing that happens when you level up every time is you get more hit points. That's it. So how you allocate your points is going to make your character stronger or not. But if you're putting into more latent shit, like I want more caps or I want to have better speech or whatever, then like you can level up 10 times and not going to be any stronger at all, and it means nothing to go back into that battle. So that's like that's what I'm talking about, where I'm like, this is not the way I would have done it. I might have had a really nice visual chart like this, like they give you and it comes in the box like you were saying. It's pretty cool, but it looks great and it's cool and it's cute. Just like the special videos at the beginning when you're installing the game are fucking awesome. And those are the videos that were already released, but I love that they did that.
Yeah.
And timed them perfectly for the entire install or whatever. But that is like disappointing to me because when I grind in an RPG, I want to grind and gain points that I can spend the way I want to in very minute ways that make my character stronger in ways that I can appreciate.
Sure. Not
like ways that are, a little more, vacant in some ways, even where it's like, okay, I have more caps now, or So it's not that you have to level up your character like that, but it's just to say that that's lost on me a little bit. The grind isn't there for me anymore. I get excited when I level up, but I'm like, nah, it doesn't mean as much now.
Interesting. See, these being the signposts on the road, right, or for me where I was like, oh fuck, I'm getting worked by these guys. And maybe to your point, if I maybe just went and I dumped it all into speech, right? Maybe just having that little bit more on the health bar would have been enough. Because you know how it is. You can drop back. I have my stim packs on my hotkeys or whatever. So I drop back, D-pad down, hit myself and go. But it's like when they were all over me, I couldn't get a window to use a stim pack. So maybe that is like the thing. But for me, yeah, it is like, all right, I'm getting, this sucks, but I love my pistols, so I'll upgrade my pistols. And then I'll do this, and I want to be damage resistant. And I hate fucking eating mac and cheese and getting radiation, so I put it all in the lead belly. So I can eat whatever the hell I want now.
I just cook.
Oh, I should do that.
I just cook. And then when you cook your food,
you get XP for that.
You get XP, and the food, number one, removes all the radiation from it. Number two, makes it better.
Yeah.
So it will usually add some sort of an extra perk to the food, or at the very least, it'll heal you for a little bit more.
Sure.
So cook, everybody.
That was one of the things that you taught.
Make sure
you asked me like after night 3 if I had been cooking. I'm like, no. And then the next day I was killing a bunch of people at a raider camp. And then I went by and I saw it. And I was like, I stopped and just cooked everything. And just, it was XP. I didn't because I'd already done the lead belly thing. But I was like, fuck it. Yeah, give me all this XP. Dump it in the bucket.
I don't eat any food that's not cooked. I'm a prima donna.
That's weird.
But I don't. Well, it's just like because I don't necessarily need it because I'm not finding that I don't know. Maybe sounds rude, but I'm more careful than you guys are being. Like, I don't know. I just know.
Cut her mic, Kevin.
Just kick her out of the room. But I haven't like run it. The times I've died, it's because I'm wearing my charisma outfit and I forgot. And I'm like, why is my health dropping? And then I'm dead on the ground. I'm like, I'm wearing a dress.
Either the times that I'm either overwhelmed or I've either usually what's happening is I'm sitting there and I'm like, I just got through this massive battle, I can't believe it. And then and the car behind me explodes because it's been cooking behind me. I'm like, and just dead. And then I got to do the whole battle over. I'm like, motherfucker.
Is that the car symbol is a car exploding?
Yeah, it means it's been shot enough and it's about to go.
Was there a car? Okay, so that happened to me in a building where there were no
propane
cars.
Tanks do it too.
Okay.
Like
I was like, what does this mean? A car is coming for me.
I took down Mr. Gutsy in this like long battle, and it was just him. And he had all this stuff, and I walked over and I got to him like, all right, I picked it up, and then it was. I'm like, is he exploding or the cop? I don't even know what's happening.
Goodbye, cruel world.
That grenade detection too. Like it could be a bit better. Like I can't tell you the number of times super mutants throw grenades at me, and I just sprint, and it's all around me. I'm like, where is it? Am I getting closer or farther away from the grenade?
Yeah, it's
that's a little off.
I do think what the game nails to these points is that there's just so much shit in it. Like and some of it seems a little thoughtless, but a lot of it it's cool. Like it adds. The world feels more lived in and like something you exist in because of the cooking and the crafting and the building and all that kind of stuff, which is cool. And it's cool that you don't really have to mess with it at all if you really don't want to. To your point, I think, or to both you guys' point, I think the legendary like equipment and stuff is really cool, and having these enemies that are like. You don't really get to know the super mutant with the fucking star or the skull next to his name. You don't know who he is, but you know that he's probably the boss of these guys and he's stronger and respected amongst this group or whatever. You can kind of make your own little story for him if you want.
Panda Musk is working on fan fiction right now.
That makes it more than you just like
super mutant.
That makes it more than you just murdering these these super mutants. Although the super mutants are way weaker in this game than they
That's
were in
what I
Fallout
thought
3, which
too.
is a little disappointing.
I haven't found that, but then again, I feel like I'm
get
a
out
little
of your
bit lower
fucking
level.
house, Kristine.
I mean, they're everywhere, and
they are. I was like, I've just been
weak.
Sneaking past them because I was scared.
They're like so weak in this game. Like I have no idea like why, why they did that. Because they're not like really that special anymore. Like you can just destroy them.
Yeah.
There was one area where it was like Protectrons versus super mutants. And I was like scared and hiding in a corner and waited until whoever won emerged victorious, and then I just cleaned out the rest.
So I want to ask you this question because you just got into what my point will eventually be. But do you like this better than Fallout 4 or Fallout 3 so far, or do you not know?
I think it's too early to say. I've been doing this a lot, and I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I can't say right
For
now.
me,
whether or
here's
not
the thing.
I like
For
it
me,
more.
I like this more than Fallout 3, which I don't think's shocking, seeing as how this is honestly just a progression of Fallout 3, right?
Yeah.
But the big change for me is the fact that in Fallout 3, my character was Clark Kent. And he wore glasses all the time, and he had a little spit curl, right? And after I made him, I never really thought of him again. You know what I mean? Whereas in this, the dialogue, having dialogue for my character, Taylor Swift, level
That's
28,
true.
seeing her face, hearing her voice, it's all very Mass Effect. And I'm sure other games have done it, but for me, it's Mass Effect, where I pick the general thought, then she has her own expression of it, and then we all interact and see what's happening. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So whereas in Fallout 3, the story was, let's go find your dad or whatever, right? I was like, let's go find Liam Neeson. I'm just shooting shit. You know what I mean? Whereas this one, I'm like, holy fuck, I am playing as this person. Their motivations are my motivations. How do we get to this thing? And then it was, they brought this time around with companions, and this I never really fucked around with companions in previous Fallout games. So help me.
My favorite
Vegas.
companion of all time is still Fox,
Yeah.
the super mutant from Fallout
Here's my
3.
thing. Before, since I didn't fuck around with him really, I was the lone wanderer. I think that's what I focused on before. Now in this game, I'm running with this one guy who I've been using pretty much the thing because I love him. He's awesome. And now they have the thing where when you do something, it'll pop up and say, your companion's name loved that. Your companion liked that. Your companion didn't like that. Hated that. Yeah, you have a relationship you're building with them. And for this one companion, there's a trophy for this, so it's not really a spoiler. You max out your relationship with them. I'm assuming it's very Mass Effect, where every companion, when you get to a tipping point, gives you a mission that's like,
That's
hey,
cool.
this is important to me. Can we go do it? And so like when that guy gave me that mission, that was when I was like, I'm going to put my bullshit aside for a second. And yeah, let's go do this for you. You know what I mean? And that solidified us. And it's like,
We're bros.
yeah, well, I mean, we can be more than bros because I'm a girl in this game. Don't forget.
Oh, that's true.
But yeah. Anyways.
There's you could do whatever you want in this game. Let's just put it that way.
But but I feel a genuine for him and me, our relationship is very much what I remember my relationship in Mass Effect 2 with Jacob being. When Jacob was like, "Can we go to this planet and do this stuff with my dad
see
or
my
whatever?"
dad.
Yeah, and I was like, "Yeah," and so like I'm so much wrapped up in the world and what's happening in the story, and then now taking that pin out of the point I made with you where you saw people fighting. There's different factions. You've seen the trophies. You can join all these different groups or whatever.
Can you join the super mutants?
There's no trophy for that. Hopefully one day. We accept you, human. I got to a point last night where every group is fighting all these other groups. And it's not like a war. It's not a spoiler. They're just like, I went into a mission and then they were fighting here. And I was like, oh, fuck. And I went over here. And then the other group was like, oh, my God. And it's one of those things of like, now I'm like, I have to imagine I'm running down this hallway to where I'm gonna have to make a choice at some point, and like, who do I not hate? You know what I mean? Like, some of these groups are weird, but you're like, yeah, I'll do your missions, whatever, fuck it. You know what I mean? And now I'm like, I went to bed I turned it off last night because it was really one of those things of like,
I'm not ready
what
to make
do
this
I
decision.
do next?
Yeah.
And I don't even have the decision. I'm not even at the
Sure.
precipice of choice.
Well, no, but seeing it on looming over the horizon,
Yeah.
I've definitely stopped games before where I'm like, I don't know what I want to do with this yet. I'm gonna put you away.
Right. That is a reaction on an emotional story level I did not have with Fallout 3. Where Fallout 3 was like,
true.
do I want to blow up Megaton? No, that's stupid. Do I want to, the only Fallout 3 mission that I can think of right now, and granted, I love Fallout 3. This isn't me knocking Fallout 3 storytelling, was the one where it was like, there were ghouls in a hotel. And it was like, did you want to work with them or kill them all or whatever? And I was like, oh, kill them all. You know what I mean?
Well, you're hitting on the one thing that's missing in the game, which is karma, and like literal decision making that is
like a meter.
Yeah, and that was one of the things that I feel like I'm being so negative about this game, so I don't mean to be that way, but it's just these are the things that are popping out to me because I think the game's great.
Yeah,
I have not played enough of the game. That's why I qualified it as 15 hours. I have not played enough of the game to have like a real bona fide opinion on it. I wouldn't render a review.
I think you're
even
just
anyway.
pointing out the differences between
Yeah.
the games, which is helpful.
Yeah, no,
It's been
I
a
think
long time. I don't know how you remember all this. Like,
I remember it a lot because I
well, I
wrote
guess
6
you
steel
did
traps.
the guide.
Yeah, I remember it quite well, too well. I do miss like the quantification of what you're doing and how you're doing, because I think the one thing that was special about New Vegas especially was that you had no idea the decisions you were making were good or bad, and a lot of times I always describe that thing as
Moral
that game
gray.
being gray, and that
see-
was what was so fucking cool about that game. That's why I think that game's better than Fallout 3, because it's like, do you want to blow up Megaton or do you want to save Megaton? And I'm like, oh, but like in Fallout New Vegas, I'm like, I don't even know who the fuck I'm helping. I don't even know who any of these people are,
See,
and I still have to
that's-
make decisions. And I think that is fucking cool.
But that's
you know?
the whole thing, Colin. That's what's happening here. That's what I'm surprised you don't dig this, because I guarantee there's a karma system in the back end here. I very much think we're going to get to the end, and it's going to be like, You were a good person. You were a bad person. This is how it all goes.
So you're thinking it's just not.
Because like there's a trophy, and this
apparent.
isn't a spoiler, but there's a trophy, right, that says decide the fate of the Commonwealth, right? And this is what I think is I'm thundering down this road with these people where I'm gonna have to be like, you've got it right. Because everyone has their different opinion of what's happening in the Commonwealth. And I'm going to be like, you've got it right. And then I'm sure it's going to be fucking nuclear holocaust again. And like, you know what I mean? Oh, God, I picked the wrong people. The people I thought were normal are the crazies. And the crazies are the, you know what I mean? And like, I'm wrestling with things. And I'm glad there isn't something saying, oh, you made the good choice, right?
Yeah,
Right, yeah.
Yeah, like the Pip-Boy with the
the
halo.
horns or the halo.
Yeah, I the one thing I will say, since you bring up the Commonwealth, and I'm sure you guys, well, maybe you do or maybe you don't. The one thing I appreciate is the environment. I lived in Boston for 5 years, so it's cool to see their rendition of it. Now it's a very truncated version of coastal Massachusetts, but it's really fucking cool. There's like really, really cool stuff in there.
Are you finding buildings and things that
absolutely,
you know? Yeah.
absolutely. And I was saying that I think the dorm I lived in Northeastern, there's a tower, like it's a tall building, 20 something floors, I think, called Tower H. I think it's in the game. And like I was
Go
like,
find your room, Colin.
yeah, and I was like, I was walking around the fens in Back Bay in the game, and I was like, that looks like my building, you know, like, and I'm sure that it's not Northeastern or all these kinds of things, but I'm like, that is a landmark because it's so fucking tall in that part of the city.
That
and,
even though it probably wasn't built back then,
right?
But it would be there now, so a human being can recognize the skyline. Of
right,
Boston.
exactly. Who knows if it's true or not? But I'm like, that building looks awfully familiar to me.
Yeah.
And you know, we know that, you know, at least through anecdotal kind of rumors that have been posted over the years, that they spent a lot of, you know, Todd Howard knows they spent a lot of time in Boston. That the reason we knew that the game took place in Boston for so long is because they found them. People saw Bethesda at MIT.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and they were like taking pictures and like researching it or whatever. And MIT is a big part of the game. So. At least that's what's inferred. I've not seen that yet, but they keep talking about it
in
a very specific way. So it's cool. Like I was talking about you, like I was walking down a street in Boston in the game, and I looked to my right and I'm like, holy shit, that's Newberry Comics. You know, like, which is a famous comic book store where you walk in, it's very nondescript kind of place. And I was like, yeah, this is totally Newberry Comics. And then I like go into the building and I walk back out and it's like, you're walking back out into the fens or Back Bay. And I'm like, yeah, totally. Like I'm in the part, I lived in Back Bay. So it's which is a part of the city where Northeastern is, next to the fens and all of that kind of stuff. So like you're going through in a very coherent way through the city in a very truncated and small way, but these places, these touchstones, the Freedom Trail, the library, you know, Park T Station, like all these things, I'm like, this is cool as hell. You know, and you know, having lived there, and I'm sure that people that are even more familiar with the city than I am or live in Massachusetts are going to really appreciate the shout outs to Quincy and the way they say it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that was one, like
I thought
it's Quincy. It's spelled Quincy, but it's Quincy. You know, like that's the way
you came out and made a point of that, and I was like, oh, that explains it, because I couldn't explain
like,
why they were saying it like that.
Yeah,
it's like a local dialect thing.
And it's I always bring up, they say Lexington and Concord, which is obvious, but like, you know, I talk about The Good Wife, which is a show I really like, and they go to Concord, New Hampshire to give a speech or whatever, and they call it Concord, and I'm like, no one ever called Concord, New Hampshire, Concord. Like, did no one on the set know that? So like they have like they've been paying attention to the little things that make it realistic.
Yeah.
For people, you know, they talk about Malden and all these places, and I'm like, fuck, like I've been to all these places, you know, and it's just cool to have that little touchstone, which I'm sure is the same way people that live in Washington D.C. felt about Fallout 3, or maybe even in Las Vegas or Nevada.
I was talking about Fallout 3, right? That I spent a summer in Germantown working in Rockville. And those are all DC suburbs. And so, yeah, like I remember playing Fallout 3, it's like, go to the Germantown PD. It's like, holy shit, that's awesome. You know what I mean?
I have no touchstones to any of those places, really.
Yeah.
Because I'm a West Coaster.
It's
your fault.
It's cool as hell. Like that's the one thing I think is that's great about the game. Like above all else is their realization of Massachusetts, and the realization of, like, I talk about it a lot, and people out there know if they're from Massachusetts, from New England. I fly the Don't Tread on Me flag on my Twitter account or whatever, and like use Revolutionary War imagery like I have on my arms and stuff like that. And that shit really is everywhere in Massachusetts and in New England.
Is the
like,
Freedom Trail a real thing there?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
it was.
And
oh, sorry, I missed that.
So yeah, I don't know if it's called the Freedom Trail, but I think it is.
There is a red thing on the ground that you can follow.
Yeah, like it's like I think it's during evacuation day or something. No, not evacuation day. That's something different. It's like the trail from like a battle through the city.
I was gonna say if it's like it is in the game. I started it at Boston Commons and then took it around Paul Revere stuff and all this stuff. And
yeah, I think it shows you like all. Anyway, it's just so cool to see like that the adherence to Revolutionary War history, which is fucking really big in Massachusetts. It really is, and like people look at the Don't Tread on Me flag as something that's like very politically loaded today, and it is, but that flag is flown everywhere in New England still by people just outside of their houses because of the adherence to that was their flag, and seeing join or die stuff all over the walls and like the museums and stuff like that. Like that really, it might be played up a little bit there because the world of Fallout is a played up patriotic, like super patriotic United States in 2077 when the war goes down with China. The fact is like I lived there for 5 years, and that was one of the things that I took away from it more than anything else was these people really do have an adherence to Revolutionary War history. St. Patrick's Day in Massachusetts is Evacuation Day because they're the same day. Evacuation Day is when the British abandoned Boston during the Revolutionary War, and that's what's celebrated alongside St. Patrick's Day. So you can tell that they have a history that goes back and they pay attention to it.
Yeah.
And so I love that kind of shit. I just that was the thing that really drew me in. I was like, this is fucking really cool because this is the way you can. Massachusetts already has this vibe, but in a very hyper patriotic, cartoonish version of the United States, you can imagine it would go overboard like this in a place like New England.
That's what I've been walking around. I already told you this, but I was like, oh, there's Colin that's a Colin tattoo. That's a Colin tattoo. I'm just like, oh, this is like Colin's game over here.
Yeah.
Got arms all over the walls.
Yeah, that's why it works.
Maybe people understand me a little bit more because that's what I came up in, So
no one understands.
Well, here's what I'm throwing out. First Fallout 3, Colin Moriarty in the game. Now we got your tattoos all over it.
Yeah.
So
it's definitely
thinking Todd Howard really likes you.
Todd Howard loves Colin Moriarty and kind of funny.
Yeah. And so the other thing, and this isn't spoilers because they do show it in the trailers and they talk about it a great deal, is I love what they did to Fenway Park, and that's like one of the.
That's really cool.
So Fenway, similar, and you can relate to this, similar to Wrigley, is an old fucking park that the city really just grew up around, and there's nowhere for it to go.
It's a character to itself.
Right, exactly.
It's a historical national monument.
Exactly. And it's a big deal back, when I was younger in New England. Do they get rid of Fenway? Do they move in another place? And much like Wrigley in Chicago with the Cubs, like this is a sacred space, and I've been to Fenway many times. So I liked that they made this into something that was meaningful and cool. It is basically the megaton of the game.
Yeah.
And the only thing, and I haven't encountered it yet, the one thing I was disappointed in, and I was like, this would have been really cool to do with where the Bruins and the Celtics play, which is, Boston Garden. To have like that touchstone as well, which is like another massive edifice in the city that's gone through, Boston Garden, TD Bank Center, I think it's called now. It's called Fleet Center for a while, whatever.
Gotcha.
Is that more like a traditional stadium?
It's like an arena.
It's an arena, like a hockey arena. But in the 90s, they knocked down the old Boston Garden, and people went and stole like bricks and all this sort of shit.
Of course.
And they built up a new one, but I just thought that would have been another cool like touchstone. But at least they have one of those, because another thing that's very huge in Boston are sports, and it's and that's like a like I was a Yankee and a Jets fan and an Islanders fan in very hostile territory up there, and you knew it every fucking day of your life when you wore a Yankee hat walking around. And every city has their sports that they like or whatever. We live in San Francisco; it's a passive sports town compared to New York or Boston.
Yeah.
Boston is fucking nuts about the Red Sox and the Bruins and the Celtics and the Patriots, and so. It's cool that is a little ode and a little shout out to that as well.
Nice.
Especially the way they talk about the sport, which is one of the things that I really think is awesome. They don't even know what baseball is.
Yeah.
And
I
I
just
think,
idolize it and worship it, but have no idea what it is.
Which I think is, and this is where the storytelling that again, this more passive storytelling is really fucking cool in the game. It's way more interesting to me than the main storyline, which I think is fine and interesting. I have such obvious questions about it that I don't even want to say because I don't want to ruin the game, the main plot.
I know.
Yeah,
that's a different.
But there's like little things where I'm like, you're looking for this thing. How do you even know when you find it? That's like that's like the one thing where I'm like, okay, like this is a little weird.
Yeah.
But it's all the environmental storytelling, the characters you meet. I think the dialogue's a little like I don't like the way dialogue isn't engaged anymore. You don't know when you're talking to someone anymore. There's like little weird shit like that.
Yeah, right. Because explain it, Kristine.
Because sometimes you can somebody will try and have a conversation with you, and you can completely walk away from them and not know.
It doesn't stop and pause.
Yeah, it doesn't stop and pause and zoom
like,
unless you get right up next to the person, and then the dialogue options will appear. And sometimes it bugs out a little bit. And
it totally does. Like the camera pans in weird ways and stuff. I'm like, I don't.
Are we talking? Are we not talking?
I took a screenshot inside someone's head last night because there was and I could see the hair out the back of his neck. I was like, Jesus.
But here's what I do actually, since we're talking about that. I want to bring up the fact that so far I have not encountered any bugs that would break the game, or even Like the most has been like a weird camera thing where it's going into their head. For the most part, again, I'm only like probably similar hours count as you. I haven't hit anything where I'm like,
I haven't
God damn it.
No
you know, like,
crashes.
yeah.
No save corruption, nothing like that. Knock on wood. I did have it last night when I was running around one thing that I was invisible. I was just there.
Wait, what? Like
I
you
was like
couldn't
clearing
see it. Like you went out to third person and you.
No.
Oh.
I mean, like to the enemies.
Oh.
I had my
Well, that sounds
companion with
awesome.
me, and I was running around, and I was like, you know what, companion, you stay back here, and I just ran up to enemies, and like, poof, poof. They're just dropping left and right. I'm like, all right, but then like they'd see if my companion came, they'd see him and fight him, but then I could still just run up and get him. That's
Right.
weird. All right, whatever. But that's a small bug. Now, Kristine, I want to double back to something with you,
Sure.
because you taught me for charisma.
Mm-hmm.
This thing I never thought of. I always thought this was too complicated, and then you showed me how to do it, and I was like, this isn't that complicated. And
Yeah.
I'm cheating the charisma points, Colin. I'm not.
Yeah.
I put in a couple or whatever because I wanted to try talking, but in the beginning I didn't see enough of it to make it worth my while or whatever.
But
right?
charisma's great because you will consistently get more caps, and you can usually get yourself
More money.
More-
Right? Yeah. Or,
let's
I'm
say
sorry.
out of a situation, or like you can maneuver
Well,
it.
that's the thing is like when I watched you play it and how you do it, you have all your armor on, and then you go into town and you're going to talk to people. You go to your hot button, your favorite key. You drop on your charisma suit, so you bump your charisma, which you already put way too much into,
I did.
up. So now you're at like charisma 11. Whereas
Yeah.
I drop it on charisma 9, and most
I'm
of the
the
red
most
options
charismatic.
are colored, right? So like
Yes.
a bright yellow you can probably get no problem. Moderately,
It's like a
darker,
little darker orange.
yeah,
and
then
it's
red,
like red.
is like you got to be on top of your game. You run in and talk to people that way, and so like once I saw you do that, I started doing that. But my problem with it is that it's not me. That's not my character. You know what I mean? Because like no spoilers. Everybody, calm down. I strong armed this girl who lost her cat, and
See, that's the only time I didn't use it.
I popped up and I'm like, more money. More money. Like I'm like, why am I milking this girl? And then every other time I milk somebody too. Like my companion, who I feel is like one of my moral compasses, is like, he doesn't like that. He doesn't like that.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm doing
That
it
is
bad.
literally the only time I didn't use charisma.
Yeah.
I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna do that. And I feel like, I mean, you can take it or leave it. You didn't have to do that.
I know, but here's the thing: is like this is why I think there's a background charisma system, and I think that it's gonna come
You
back
mean
to
karma.
bite me. Oh, sorry, yes, very much
Yeah.
so. Background karma system, because like I didn't have to, but it gives you more
Gives you
XP.
XP.
It gives you XP. Don't you want that XP? And it's like,
Yeah.
I do it to the dicks now, like to
I do
like,
it to the dicks.
When I see these dicks on these fucking luscious guys, and when I see these jerks who are being assholes, right, and the option pops up, yeah, I'll milk them for money or be a jerk
Yeah.
or whatever. But it's like, I don't know. Like in the dialogue system, there's the milking option for charisma, but then there is like the noble X button. The X button is usually like I'll do it.
Yes.
I'm
Yeah,
on
exactly.
it. Don't feel so bad. Da da da. And then there's like
Then
sarcastic.
there's sarcastic, then there's like triangle, which is usually just a question. Like it will give you more information. Although sometimes it does just move you on to the next
yeah.
dialogue option.
Sure. But yeah, I think it's all tied up in the fact that there's something going on, Colin. There's a karma system here. And I'm gonna be a
It's
good
not
person.
fair.
God
I
damn it,
just
by the
wanted
end of it.
XP and caps.
Yeah.
Taylor Swift is a superhero.
It might be more like New Vegas than Bethesda didn't make New Vegas, but it might be more like New Vegas in that it's both gray and not arbitrary at all.
Yeah.
But you just don't know now,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
you know even less, which is cool. But also, it's going to frustrate the shit out of people if that's really true.
Yeah.
I'm sure that there's a decision to be made at the end of the game.
Yeah.
For sure. But yeah, so I think that I think the game's great. Like I'm intrigued. I want to play more. I think about it a lot. I'm trying to play it slowly and deliberately because I think that that's the way I should be playing games from now on. I don't want to. We don't have to play games like that anymore, so I don't. And we never had to play games like that. But
If you're trying to review the
but
game,
you're trying to
did,
you
right?
have to review a
You
game.
did
And you really have to get
sometimes.
through it. And if you want to be able to talk about it authoritatively on a podcast or something, then you have to really get through it. But with this, I'm like, all right, I have the game. It was like October 30th, I think, and I'm like, I'm gonna just
meander, do
play
your
it
thing. Yeah.
like when I want, how I want. I'm not gonna like feel any adherence to having to play the game a certain amount of hours a day or whatever, because I should be way further in the game in my mentality. Like I should be further along, but I encourage people to kind of play it in a similar way if they can, because I think you might actually extract more out of it, be more thoughtful about it, get more hours out of it potentially. And that's the cool thing about the game to me is there's a lot to be done in it. Some of it seems arbitrary and unnecessary, yet that's going to be that's in the kind of the eye of the
Right.
beholder. I think it's more Fallout. I mean, at the end of the day, it's Fallout. Fallout 4 is just more Fallout. There's nothing here that's going to really surprise you about it. It's the way it looks, the way it sounds, the production values, the little hitches in the game, the
Yeah.
Bethesda type shit that we were talking about. None of this is going to surprise you. I think it's just we could use games like this every few years from people that really know what they're doing, and
Yep.
and that's Bethesda game studios knows what they're doing. That's the cool thing. They know how to hook you in and draw you in and write quests and make worlds that are
Make
believable and
characters that I
living.
really, really dig and I want to see more about and get back to.
Yeah. So I think, I don't want to render like this is great,
Sure.
for sure kind of verdict, because I haven't seen enough of it. I don't think that's fair to the game. I don't think it's fair to me or our audience, but I've seen enough of it to know that it's almost certainly going to be as awesome all the way through.
Yep.
And there's definitely these hiccups and problems that are going to be the reason I think I talk more negatively than I probably feel about the game is because, and I think a lot of people are going to feel like this one way or the other when they play the game, is that all of the things that are different are going to hit you at once because you have to learn them soon. And so you're going to have opinions on them that are strong and are going to overbear based on your experience with the game. And the further you get into the game, the more used to it you're going to
Exactly. Yeah. The further you get, the things that were new
You're
to
gonna
you are
forget
not
what
normal.
even yeah,
When I,
exactly.
as before, I pick up a gun and be like, well, this gun isn't good damage. Now it's like, this gun isn't good damage now.
But what could I
But
build it
if
to
I
be?
take it back
Yeah.
to Sanctuary, what can I do with it? Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool.
Kristine, you got closing thoughts? Or anything you didn't hit on that you want to talk about?
No, but I was just gonna toss this in there too. Like, we're talking about crafting, how you don't particularly like it, but what I like it for is just like pacing, like switching it up.
Sure.
So I go kill a bajillion things. I'm like, you know what? I kind of want to like have some relaxation time. So my relaxation time, instead of stopping the game and leaving it, is I'm gonna go build some stuff. I'm gonna go see what I can create out of this stuff. The only thing that I don't really like about the crafting is, number one, it's confusing at first.
Yeah.
I figured it out. And then
I didn't figure it out until Kristine
it
told me.
seems a little bit like I don't like the pieces that they give me. Like I
The
can't.
ugly walls and shit?
Yeah. Well, it's not just that they're ugly; it's like I don't find them as functional as they should be.
They definitely. I mean, you taught me. Okay, well, go do this and tear all this down. You can have this plot, or this foundation to
There's
work on.
a few places you can have just an empty plot.
And
of
so I was
land.
like, okay, cool. And then I went and fucked around with it. I was like, I'm trying to make just a rectangle house. And at the end, like, I couldn't.
like the pieces
there was
don't
like
quite
this hole,
match
so I
up.
like just put
Yeah.
a fucking thing like this. I'm like, fuck this. This is stupid.
Yeah.
I hate
So
this.
that's the, like, part
Drop
where I'm
20
like,
beds
man.
and leave. I'm like, there you go. We got beds, assholes.
That's what I did too. I was like, here's a bunch of mattresses on the floor. Enjoy yourselves.
exactly,
You're all
exactly.
sleeping in one terrible
There you
looking
go.
house.
It's like an internment camp. this isn't a settlement. We're here to get started. Turrets are in. They're facing the people. They're not defending at all.
No. But what's funny is I had even forgotten for some reason. Like, it feels so natural to have your character speak now.
Yeah, right?
That when you brought this up earlier, I was like, right. Like you never like you have the dialogue option.
You
there,
saw
but
what you said, but I mean,
you're
like,
just
that's like such a
stoic person.
it's such a
standing there.
binary choice
Yeah.
of choosing what exactly you're going to say to the person and then them just responding to it.
It is
Yeah.
funny though, like when you see your character, like my character is wearing like a fighter pilot mask,
Yeah.
and he has like for most of the game, and he's wearing like a catcher's chest piece or whatever. And I'm like, I look like a fucking psychopath.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
everyone's
we-
like talking to me like I'm totally
Why are
normal.
you talking to me? Because
And everyone's like,
talk
oh,
to me.
look at this normal gentleman. Can you help me? And like it zooms in on me, and I look like a fucking crazy person.
I had like, cool looking weathered armor for the longest time. And then like, I got better armor, but then you can see like I have the vault suit underneath it.
Yeah.
And then I just I spent all this time making Taylor Swift's hair look great, and she had glasses and she looked really good and red lips. And yeah, I'm like, perfect, nailed her. And I got this awesome helmet.
It looks like a bike helmet.
She's got this helmet. It doesn't look like a bike helmet. It looks
Kinda
like a
does.
medical helmet you put on someone who like their head hasn't formed yet. She's like, hey, where? She's like all mad, yelling at people. I'm like, I can't even look at
I
you.
can't take
What are
you
you doing?
seriously.
Jesus.
But that was another pro tip. Keep your bolt suit.
Yeah.
I'm using that as
You can
still.
you can use it as your base. You can go in and insulate it and make a bunch of stuff with it.
And then you can use like Raider pieces on top of it.
Yep. Cool. So you're what do you
I'm
say
into
about
it.
that? Yeah.
I'm looking forward to this weekend having some alone time and just like diving in, because I feel I've only been able to like go into it for a few hours at a time, and I haven't really had that time
Sure.
to just like,
Get lost in it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I really am looking forward to it though, because I really like it. It's a good game, and if you liked the Fallouts before, you're gonna
Yep.
like this.
Yep. I'm in love with it. I really, really, really enjoy it. It's one of those. It's interesting for me because I feel like with Metal Gear this year, right? It was very much like I have to be playing Metal Gear, and like I talked about it on the Game Over Greggy show, right? And I've talked to you personally about it. I'm just like, I don't want to go to the grocery store. I want to play video games. Well, I got to play this game. This game isn't like that.
Sure.
Fallout for me. I know that I'm further in, but I don't feel like I'm that further in story wise. You know what I mean? Like I'm talking about like you're talking like go to the settlement and do this, or do these little missions, or do the giant quest, right? Like I feel like there's so much in it, and I definitely want to platinum it now, and I want to hit level 50 and everything that like for me even though when I have time, I'm gonna play it. There's no rush, if that makes sense. If that's
I feel like there's not. Yeah, I feel you on that because
I
it's
can
like
leave it. I can
I'm
put
still
it
thinking
down.
about the game, and I would like to play the game, but I'm not dying
right
to play the game.
It's really good. It's huge. There's gonna be so much to do in it that it's like, oh, it's time to make dinner. It's time to go watch Kristine's video. It's time. Okay, I can do that. I can put this down and put my bookmark in it and leave it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think you nailed it just in the sense that you know what this is.
Yeah,
this is exactly what you think it is, and it's that's a good thing.
Yeah, it's a great thing.
It's a very good thing. It's certainly gonna be one of the best games of the year.
Perfect. Well, ladies and gentlemen, what do you think of Fallout 4? Let us know in the comments below. And remember today's Fallout Day if you're watching the day this went up. Because if not, then it was Fallout Day. We have 2 Let's Plays up. One of my save, one of Colin's save. And if you're watching this at 5 a.m. when it posts on Monday, I am streaming over on twitch.tv/kindoffunnygames. And if you're not, go over to twitch.tv/kindoffunnygames and click the follow button. And then you'll know when we go live. Like when we do Colin and Greg live every day, 11 a.m. Right? Colin, no. Colin, don't be like that. Kristine, what do you got to plug?
Me in general. YouTube.com/Steimer, Twitch.tv/Steimer, SteimerSays.com is basically the house of all that stuff.
Okay.
So,
all right.
Yeah.
Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, it's been our pleasure to serve you.
And that's really the problem, right? Is that Taylor Swift would never wear a helmet that looks that ugly. You'd be like, Taylor, it really helps. I don't think I can jump from in here, but I'm gonna try. No, okay. Oh, there's an enemy's nearby. Motherfucker. She'd be like, I understand that it gives me +9 defense. I don't care. And maybe in a role-playing game, as I role-play as Taylor Swift, I should say, you know what, Taylor Swift wouldn't win that. But I'm still hanging on to my roots here of wanting really good defense. Portillo, I need it. Oh, look who's back.
You can see there. Oh my God. Oh, no. He has a minigun. So you know the enemy, like you know you're dealing with like a real enemy when he has a name. So I'm shooting this guy's legs, and this might actually cripple his ability to move.